What's up, everybody? Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So this one might be a little bit shorter, and I might be missing some stuff from Wednesday or Thursday, and that's because I'm filming this on Tuesday this week because I'll be going on one of many trips here over the nenext 4 weeks. And so, yeah, I had to film this early, so hopefully I didn't miss out on too much, but there is still a ton of really interesting car news to go over this week, so let's get right into it. The first, before I get to the headline stories, is an interesting patent that was filed this past week by Mazda. And for those of you hoping for a new RX-9, this sounds like it's related to that. So, actually, AutoGuide dug up this patent. It's a Mazda patent application for a door mechanism. And it's kind of unusual, but as you can see from the pictures there, it looks like it's on a sports car. And they say that the reason why they're filing this patent application is they say that low sports cars have issues with opening doors near curbs. And so this is supposed to help with that issue. So it will be a low-slung vehicle application, whatever it is. And so anyway, they're saying that instead of doing some kind of vertical door, because those have, you know, struts that are often expensive and springs are hard to control and stuff. So none of the traditional, I guess, ways to have a door go somewhat vertically don't work for them because they're either too expensive or too heavy or too complex. So they're just going to be using a torsion bar to hold the door open. Now, the patent images make it look like it's the same thing as like a hood prop, which I really don't think you're going to be having to prop your door open, but I'm guessing there's some kind of bar that maybe swings out somehow in order to hold the door open. I'm not sure. It's really kind of hard to figure out what exactly they're doing here, even with the patent filings. So we'll have to wait and see, but we know the Tokyo Motor Show is coming up here, you know, in October, and so maybe, you know, we'll see what this is then. But anyway, interesting to see that. Now, some other interesting news about some more stuff we'll be hearing about here in September. First, Automotive News is reporting that Toyota is going to be unveiling a new performance division for Toyota only. So it won't be Lexus's F division. They're going to have their own, you know, and it's going to be something similar to the BMW M, the AMGs, but for Toyota, and could actually spawn a new sub-brand. If you're thinking Scion and how terrible of an idea that is, I agree, because that just obviously failed. So I'm not sure if this is just going to add, you know, an additional variant onto existing Toyota models or what. And there's no guarantee this is even going to come to the United States or North America, because we know that, you know, the Japanese, they have some really cool exclusive stuff only for Japan a lot of times, and things they can't bring over here for various reasons. So no guarantees we're ever going to see any of this stuff, you know, on our shores at least, but we might be seeing some stuff here, you know, at the Frankfurt Motor Show from them, or at the Tokyo Motor Show in October. Maybe the new Supra is under this brand, and, you know, that'll kind of be the spearhead for whatever it is they plan to do here with this new Toyota, you know, subdivision or whatever. But anyway, interesting to hear that. Automobile Magazine has some very interesting news this past week about Lamborghini's future product plans, and they supposedly have inside info. Some of this stuff makes sense. The other stuff's really far-fetched. We'll start with the first most interesting thing, and that is that they're talking about how there's going to be a Lamborghini Huracan Safari, is what it's going to be called, supposedly. That's going to basically be a crossover version of the Huracan. It's going to be the same body shape. They said it will be available in coupe and convertible, which is bizarre. But anyway, so they're saying it's going to have a height adjustable suspension, larger wheel arches that are flared, you know, to make it more off-road ready. It's going to have underbody protection panels, four-wheel steering, and of course continue with that all-wheel drive that the Huracan already has. But yeah, so a convertible or coupe version of an off-road Huracan sounds like something that no one really asked for, aside from maybe a few people that do like the Gumball Rally or something. I don't understand, but hey, you know, they're going to have the Urus SUV. You would think that would fill this niche or whatever, but maybe they're trying to be crazy. I don't know what they're going for here, but more power to them. The more Lamborghinis, the better, I guess. Another more traditional stuff that's a little interesting still, though, is they're also supposedly planning for a Speedster and Barchetta versions of the Huracan as well. And I guess, you know, the Speedster would be a racier version of the convertible with roll hoops or something. I'm not sure, because it already basically is a Speedster type setup there with, you know, the way that the convertible version of the Huracan is set up. out. But anyway, supposedly those are coming. They also say there's a high-performance SV version of the Huracan coming, which doesn't sound correct because Lamborghini always reserves the SV name for the V12 high-performance version. So maybe they're changing course, but that would kind of upset some people. And we already have the Huracan Performante, so introducing an SV version seems a little redundant. They also did say the final model is there's going to be a GT3 Stradale version, which does make sense because, you know, with the Gallardo we had the, I guess it was called the Trofeo, or the Super Trofeo that they had, and so, you know, doing something like that with this new GT3 Stradale does make sense. So that I can see, but the SV and the other versions are a little I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but supposedly those will be coming here, you know, over the next few years as they continue on with the Huracan's lifespan before it's eventually replaced. Speaking of replacements, Automobile also has some information on the replacements here for both Lamborghini models. They're saying the replacement for the Aventador is going to come first, which obviously makes sense since that debuted before the Huracan. They say the new Aventador replacement is coming in 2020 and could have up to 1,120 horsepower. So, they say that Lamborghini had considered using a 900 horsepower twin-turbo version of the V12, but they instead chose to do a naturally aspirated V12, most likely the same one already in the Aventador, with 800 horsepower is what it will supposedly have, but then it's going to be hybrid, and it's going to have two electric motors that each do 160 horsepower, so those combined are going to add up to a total of potentially 1,120 horsepower, which is a pretty big leap, you know, considering the Murcielago went from like 640 and then 670 for the final SV up to 700 for the Aventador, 30 extra horsepower. So I was expecting maybe an 800 horsepower, you know, model for the successor here, but to go up to that much horsepower, maybe for a hypercar version, but for the normal Aventador, I find it a little hard to believe, but hey, that would be fantastic. So hopefully that happens. They say it would also have 885 pound-feet of torque for what it's worth. Then they said once whatever that vehicle is comes, then they're going to have the Huracan replacement, which is supposedly ditching the V10 engine here for this new car, and that will go with a 4-liter twin-turbo V8, much like the Audis currently run, the Porsches, that kind of stuff, and that'll supposedly make 650 horsepower in this new baby Lamborghini, and then there could also be a hybrid version of that that does somewhere around 900 horsepower, which, again, these numbers seem way high, but hey, I'm not knocking it. Hopefully they turn out to be true, but take it with a grain of salt. Other Volkswagen Group news here is Audi is also going to be revealing 3 new vehicles here at the Frankfurt Motor Show. We're only going to be seeing one of them here in the States, most likely, though. So the first is the R8 GT, which is the rear-wheel drive version, which they've already done in the past for, you know, the previous gen R8, which just makes it rear-wheel drive. It loses about 200-odd pounds, so it's sharper, better handling, all that kind of stuff, which will be great. And they're also saying they're going to be revealing an RS4 Avant, which is the wagon version of the RS4, which we do not get here in the States, unfortunately. They did say they're going to be bringing us more RS models, so maybe there's a chance we'll get this one. But it's unlikely. It's probably going to use the same motor as the RS5, which is the 2.9-liter twin-turbo V6. But anyway, interesting about that. And then also the SQ2 they're going to be revealing, which we definitely won't get here because we don't get the normal Q2 here in the States. But that'll have 272 horsepower for those of you in Europe. But anyway, interesting to hear that. Also, another Frankfurt debut that was revealed early here was the 2019 Porsche Cayenne that we have. That's all new here, and now it doesn't look radically different. You know, it's a mild evolution here of the existing Cayenne, but it does look good, I have to say. It's 4 inches longer now. It has 15% more cargo volume, and so that, you know, makes it look a little bit longer, a little bit, you know, more lower and crunched down over, you know, the previous gen Cayenne. The interior looks very nice. You know, a lot of the same stuff you get in the Panamera with that large widescreen touchscreen there in the middle, and you know, similar type of you know, controls there in the center and whatnot. So the base Cayenne's going to be getting a 3-liter turbo V6 engine that has 340 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque, very similar to the Audi units once again. 0 to 60 though for that base Cayenne is still 5.6 seconds, so very respectable for the base model. The quarter mile for that one is 14.2 seconds. The Cayenne S gets a twin turbo 2.9-liter V6 that does 440 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque, again familiar from the Audis. 4.6 seconds 0 to 60 on that one, 13.2 second quarter mile time. And of course, Turbo and Turbo S models and GTS models will all be coming eventually, I'm sure, as well as a plug-in hybrid and maybe even a fully electric version with the way things are going these days. But for right now, we just have the Cayenne and Cayenne S debut. So they're all going to be running, well, at least these first two will be running the new 8-speed Tiptronic S automatic transmission, not PDK, and they say that this gives faster and smoother shifts here with this 8-speed automatic, so that's interesting. They also have several different new driving modes here, and a new Sport Chrono pack that has an additional Sport Plus mode added in, plus it's also going to have an individual mode, so you can set up things exactly the way you want, and there's a new Sport Response button, which they say you can press, and it gives you the maximum performance setting for 20 seconds of burst there. I don't know if that will give you any kind of overboost or any additional power, or if it's just, hey, we're going to put you in Sport Plus mode for 20 seconds, and then that's it. But anyway, interesting idea there. Another interesting thing is there's going to be this new option called the Porsche Surface Coated Brake, and so basically it's the same cast iron disc brakes they normally have on these Cayennes, but it's going to have a tungsten carbide coating, and they say this is designed to improve brake performance while reducing wear and brake dust. So they want it to be kind of a middle ground between the standard brakes and the very expensive carbon ceramic brakes. So kind of a middle of the road here with that. So that's an interesting thing. We'll see how that pans out. It's a totally new thing here as far as technology goes. They also said as far as the new Cayennes, they're about 143 pounds lighter than the outgoing version thanks to that new platform that they're on now. And so that should help it, drive better, have better fuel economy, better handling, all that kind of stuff. There's initially, as far as handling goes, there's going to be an option for rear wheel steering here on the Cayennes now as well, even the Cayenne and Cayenne S. And so anyway, these are going to be available the middle of next year, and they're going to be starting for the standard Cayenne at $66,750, and then the Cayenne S starts at $83,950. So turbo models are definitely going to be into the hundreds easily, and just go on from there. Another vehicle that's revealed ahead of the Frankfurt Motor Show is the 2018 BMW i3 and new i3S Sport model. So nothing to get super excited about, but it does get a little bit of a refresh here for the i3, so we'll be seeing it in person at Frankfurt, and that's when we'll get more pictures, but these are the BMW press photos here. But anyway, you can see it has a redesigned front and rear bumpers. It gives it a little bit of a wider look, and they really want it to look wider because I guess everyone thinks that they're just a little too upright, so they wanted to widen it out as much as possible. So there's a new U-shaped accent and horizontal LED turn indicators. The LED headlights are also now standard for LED low and high beams and daytime running lights. And in the rear, there's a new horizontal chrome strip as well to accentuate its wide. The badges are pushed out towards the edges more to, again, it's wide. That's what they want people to see here. So clearly there was a lot of complaints about this thing looking too upright and boxy. And so yes, that is the main changes here as far as the outside goes. There's going to be two new colors as well, Melbourne Red Metallic and Imperial Blue Metallic. And so, as far as the performance, it's the same 170 horsepower, 184 pound-feet of torque as the i3 has had before. So it's a decent amount of performance here. It's also on the inside, there's not much that's new. There's a couple different new materials you can get, and it has the new iDrive system as well, which is, a nice improvement. But anyway, that i3S model, the performance one. Now, it's not a huge jump in power. It has 184 horsepower, which is only 14 more, and 199 pound-feet of torque, which is only 15 more pound-feet of torque. So 6.8 seconds 0 to 60 for the Sport model, which is, I guess they said about 0.4 seconds faster than the standard i3, and it has a 100 mile per hour top speed here instead of 93 miles per hour for the standard i3. Also, the track is actually 1.57 inches wider here on the S, so it does handle a little bit better and is, in fact, actually a little bit wider, and the bodywork kind of accentuates that. It's 0.4 inches lower with unique springs, dampers, and anti-roll bars, and the wheels are 20 inches here, and they're a half-inch wider here on the S version as well. So, yeah, it has a sport mode here on the S model as well, and blue seat belt, so that's about the extent of the changes there to the interior. Again, not as super, they didn't put an M badge on it. It is not super high performance, but a sport model is still nonetheless nice to have a little bit of boost there for those that want a little efficient city car, but still want some sportiness as well. So anyway, interesting to see that. Volvo this past week has showed off their new Polestar models, and these are going to be the last ones before they go to the completely all-hybrid Polestar lineup for 2019 with all new models. So they're doing a limited run of 1,500 of these S60 and V60 Polestars, and it's basically just a new carbon fiber aero package that they have added onto it. They say downforce is improved by 30% with this package. It gives you a front splitter, side skirts, and a rear spoiler, plus you get carbon fiber door mirror caps and different colored wheels, and that's about it. Otherwise, the same Polestar Volvos that have been around for many years now. But yeah, last ones we'll see here of a normal gasoline-powered Polestar until the electric ones come and the hybrid ones here next year. So wild, but yeah, crazy to see that. And another interesting thing that was actually teased for the Frankfurt Motor Show is that Mercedes has teased their revisions to the refreshed S-Class Coupe and Cabriolet. And so all they really showed was the taillights here, which have, according to them, 33 individually controllable OLEDs in the taillights. And so, in other vehicles like the Audis and in the Mustang, it's just a sequential turn signal. But as you can see, it actually has an orange turn signal here on the Mercedes. So I don't know, if it's just going to be a customizable way for your brake lights to show. Could be some interesting individuality if you can actually personally program it to whatever. But very interesting idea. We'll have to, hear more about it whenever Mercedes officially reveals this vehicle at Frankfurt. But a very intriguing thing there nonetheless. It's also going to have other tweaks, probably much like the revisions we've already seen for the 2018 S-Class sedan, which gives you, more aggressive front and rear bumpers, the nicer interior on an already very nice S-Class interior they already had before. But anyway, we'll be interested to see more of that here next week. Also, Mercedes was by this past week testing a faster version of the AMG GTR, which was already the faster version of the already fast AMG GT. And so this will most likely be labeled maybe a black series or something else, but that's what they've been called in the past. And it's hard to really tell any changes here, aside from maybe it's a little bit wider. I don't know. You can also see that the exhausts are now located in the rear diffuser there in the corners instead of the center exhaust that the standard GTR has there. So they're also saying it could possibly have a polycarbonate rear window there and a couple other lighter weight things to help with handling and whatnot. Could be shown at the Frankfurt Motor Show as well. Could be later. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe could be a Geneva next year, early next year as well. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, interesting to see that running around. And then the last story this week is yet another car company that has announced that they are going hybrid and electric here more and more. And so the Financial Times actually interviewed Andy Palmer, who's the CEO of Aston Martin. And he said in an interview here that the company is planning on going fully hybrid by the mid-2020s. Fully hybrid. That means every single model by 2025 or so is going to have hybrid, some form of hybridization. So that means buy your V12 Aston Martins while you can, or even the naturally aspirated V8s and the twin turbo V8s we're going to be having here for the new Vantage. They're all going to have some kind of hybrid battery system here in a matter of 7 years or less. Yeah, buy them while you can. We all of us need to hurry up and get rich quick. But anyway, so yes, he says also 25% of the range will be fully electric by the end of the next decade. So by the end of the 2020s, a quarter of all Aston Martins will be completely electric. Again, this is really going to be wild and crazy whenever this stuff actually arrives. And so as far as the batteries and stuff, they said they want to do it on their own, because he's quoted as saying you need to keep core technology inside the company. And so he said that's why we make our own V12 engine. We believe that EVs are a core technology, and therefore we want to do them ourselves. So their plan is they're going to buy electric batteries and stuff from overseas, but they plan to make the packs and the motors themselves in the UK. So that is how they're going to be doing that. Usually like they recognize even with, using the AMG motor here for the new Vantage and some of the tech for the DB11 and whatnot, maybe that's not their strong suit, but maybe they'll be very good at it. You'll have to wait and see how that all pans out. We do know Aston Martin has, said they're committed to the manual transmission. So I think even though it may be a hybrid, they'll hopefully still work a manual in there some way and make it so the hybrid is kind of in the background and not a dominant thing, and should still be very enthusiast-oriented vehicles. But still just really crazy, it's everything basically, guys. Give it another 10 years and it's going to be really hard to be finding purely gasoline driven vehicles. It's going to be insane. But anyway, that is the world we're living in here, and that is it as far as all the news here for this week, guys. Let me know all your thoughts about everything in the comments below. Be sure to follow me on social media. All the links are in the description below. You can check out everything I've been doing here for the rest of the week whenever I was away, and also, you know, keep up to date on all the automotive news that I retweet as it's happening. So anyway, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Take care.